The Galactic Federation had always found humanity's obsession with pets to be utterly baffling. To them, the concept of keeping a lesser evolved creature for companionship was a sign of a primitive, if endearing, species. When humanity joined the interstellar community, they brought with them their dogs, their birds, their hamsters, and the aliens would observe, often with a condescending chuckle. They saw dogs as overly eager sycophants and birds as loud, repetitive squawkers. Humanity's affection for these creatures was a popular topic of study for xenopsychologists, trying to understand our species' many quirks. Then came the cats. At first, the aliens lumped them in with the other pets. They saw small, furry quadrupeds that slept a lot and occasionally chased a laser pointer. They were documented as low-energy, aloof companions. The first report from a Xylosian ambassador after staying on Earth was particularly dismissive. He described the Felis cates as an inefficient, self-centered organism that only interacted with its human keeper on its own terms, primarily for sustenance. The report concluded that cats were the pinnacle of humanity's illogical sentimentality. How wrong they were. The turning point was the incident on Starbase Epsilon. The station was a marvel of galactic engineering, a bustling hub for trade and diplomacy, but it had a problem. A big, scuttling, multi-limbed problem. The Cathar, a species of insectoid pests, had stowed away on a cargo shipment and were breeding uncontrollably in the station's labyrinthine maintenance ducts. They were small, fast, and their chitinous exoskeletons were resistant to standard energy-based pest control. They were chewing through vital power conduits, and the station's advanced systems were slowly failing. The Federation's best exterminators with their sonic disruptors and plasma sprayers were failing. The Cathar were simply too numerous and too adept at hiding in the station's guts. Commander Eva Rostova, the human liaison on Epsilon, was getting desperate. She watched as a multi-billion credit station was being brought to its knees by space cockroaches. Then, during a particularly frustrating briefing where a Vexian general was proposing to just vent the entire sector to space, an idea sparked. It was a crazy, desperate, and distinctly human idea. Back on her personal shuttle, she had a passenger. A non-regulation passenger. His name was Patches, and he was a ginger tabby with a slightly torn ear and a penchant for knocking things off her desk. With special permission and more than a few raised eyebrow ridges from her superiors, Commander Rostova released Patches into a sealed-off, Cathar-infested section of the station. The alien observers watched the monitor feeds with amusement. They saw the small, furry creature emerge from its carrier, stretch languidly, and then begin to groom itself, utterly ignoring the skittering pests in the corner. The Xylosian ambassador present let out a series of clicks that passed for a snicker. "You see," he communicated, "a useless creature. It is concerned only with its own cleanliness." Then, Patches stopped grooming. His head snapped up. His ears swiveled, tracking a sound the station's advanced sensors couldn't even pinpoint. His body went low to the ground, a fluid ripple of muscle. The amusement in the observation room died down. The aliens watched, mesmerized, as a transformation occurred. The lazy, aloof pet was gone. In its place was a predator. An apex predator, honed by millions of years of evolution to do one thing with terrifying efficiency: hunt. Patches moved with a silent, liquid grace that defied physics. He stalked, he pounced, he twisted in mid-air. One moment a Cathar was scuttling along a pipe. The next it was gone, dispatched with a swift, precise bite to its vulnerable neural cluster. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their own pest control units were loud, clumsy machines. Patches was a silent, organic, self-replicating, or at least self-motivating death machine. He wasn't just killing them, he was hunting them. It was a primal, terrifyingly efficient ballet of destruction. Within 12 hours, the sealed-off section was clear. The data was undeniable. Patches had achieved a 98.7% termination rate, far exceeding any method the Federation had devised. And he did it all for the low, low price of a bowl of food and a nap in a sunbeam. News of the Epsilon extermination event spread like wildfire. Soon, Federation starships and stations were putting in official requests, not for new weapon systems or advanced scanners, but for feline pest control units. Humanity was suddenly running a brisk trade in tabby cats, Siamese, Maine Coons, and common alley cats. Handlers like Commander Rostova became highly sought-after consultants. The aliens who once laughed at human pets now watched in awe and a little bit of fear. They saw cats not as pets, but as biological marvels. They studied their night vision, their silent movements, their uncanny ability to fit into impossibly small spaces. They marveled at their purrs, a sound frequency that, some studies suggested, could promote healing and reduce stress. The Xylosian ambassador, who had once called them useless, now had 2 kittens of his own, whom he referred to as esteemed tactical officers Fluffington and murderous Shadow Demon. He wasn't entirely wrong. Humanity tried to explain that cats weren't just bioweapons. They were companions. They tried to explain the joy of a cat kneading on your lap, the comfort of a steady purr on a lonely night, the sheer chaotic comedy of a kitten chasing its own tail. The aliens struggled to grasp this. To them, the cat was a paradox, a creature of supreme lethal grace that also enjoyed batting at a sparkly ball. An independent hunter that would also demand belly rubs, but only on its own very specific terms. They were warriors and they were babies. And so, across the galaxy, the perception of pets changed forever. Humanity was no longer seen as just the sentimental species that kept useless animals. We were the keepers of the void kittens, the handlers of the miniature assassins, the allies of the purring predators. And while other races now treated our dogs with a bit more respect, it was the cats that commanded true galactic reverence. Because in the cold, dark, and sometimes pest-infested universe, everyone learned that it's a very, very good idea to have a cat on your side. Even if they do occasionally knock your most important data slate off the command console just to see it fall. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.